James Comey officially indicted for perjury and obstruction of justice. Damn, that's crazy. Isn't that crazy after how much? Wait, hold on. What's this? Pro wait. Pro chef's taste test every frozen burger. I want to know which one's better. Oh, hot dogs too? I gotta watch this later. Okay, anyway. But the thing is it's kind of crazy because this guy has been a complete dickhead, like going after his political opponents. So man, you kind of love to see it, you know? Like the how does it feel now? How does it feel now? It's like you started this bullshit. You started this bullshit. Like, did you think that it was never gonna turn around? That, like, when you opened the Pandora's box, did you really think that you could put it back in the box? Like, what do these people expect? They do this every time. They do some fucking annoying, awful shit, right? And then it's like they don't understand that, like, you know, at some point, the same power that you're wielding to fuck with people is going to flip around on you, right? So this is gonna be. Did you hear about the UN? I didn't actually. I didn't. So we'll get caught up with the news. I just woke up like about an hour ago, and I had a struggle morning, so I didn't really have time to look at like the news, honestly.
What's up, guys? It's Benny. It was the F aroundest of times and the fine outingest of times, and Donald Trump just made James Comey find out. Speaking of tweets that age immaculately like a fine French wine, Donald Trump, dirty cop James Comey got caught, telling us in April of 2020 that he's caught James Comey. And now today, James Comey has been indicted for exactly what President Trump was posting about here, which would be lying to Congress.
They probably had to get him airtight. That's probably why they waited so long, you know? Like I feel like even if it takes like a long time, it's better to like do it thoroughly.
Donald Trump posting that while James Comey was actively lying to Congress. No one is above the law. James Comey has been indicted on 2 counts of false statements and obstruction of justice, lying to Congress. Donald Trump posting about it here.
Hold on, isn't that what they tried to get Trump on? I'm trying to remember because, like, dude, the news moves so fast that like shit that happened like last year, or like might as well have happened like 10 years ago. You know, like, what did they try to get him for? Yeah, isn't that what they tried to get Trump for? They got him some bullshit mortgage fraud. No, they tried to impeach him for they tried to impeach him, right, for this stuff. Yeah.
On Truth Social, posting the comments from Cash.
The Russian thing.
Let's go ahead and look at some of these immaculate tweets that Donald Trump has posted. That I was right about James Comey, crooked cop, says Donald Trump from 2019. Deputy Director Dan Bongino, when Cash Patel and I took our leadership positions in the FBI, we promised the American people accountability. Promises matter.
Damn.
Dan Bongino.
That's my Oshi.
Seconds ago. Pam Bondi saying no one is above the law. Today's indictment reflects the Department of Justice's commitment to holding those accountable in positions.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I want Dan Bongino back. I want the Dan Bongino show back. Like, this is like so tragic, dude.
For misleading the American people. We'll follow the facts of the case. Disgraced FBI Director James Comey has officially been indicted.
He had the best takes.
Perp walk him on
It is quieter,
TV.
too bad.
Cash Patel's statement here, your FBI took another step in his promise for full accountability. Far too long, previous corrupt leadership and their enablers of weaponized federal law enforcement, damaging a once proud institution and severely eroding public.
Now he's cucked by the government, dude. I wonder, dude. I really wonder what happened because I'm not gonna lie, like something crazy must be going on because I really, I don't know if I'm just coping, but I really just, because like I've been watching the Dan Bongino show and for a while, and I just can't see him selling out like for any reason other than for any reason than to protect his family. Like I really don't see it. And like I'm wondering, coping he's a sellout 100%. Well, the thing is we don't know that either. So like again, like there's multiple things that could be going on, right? So while it is possible that he is selling out, it is also possible that like they're waiting for something, basically, like that there's, remember what I said about how if you're trying to get people, you can't overplay your hand, because if you overplay your hand, then like they know that you're onto them. It's best to like let them think that you have nothing, and then you fucking get them like immediately, like right after. So like, yeah, Cash doesn't commentate. Yeah, Cash is something. I don't know that much about Cash. I don't know him. You know, I don't know Cash, so it's whatever. But like, it's possible, because like I'm just telling you, like from my okay. I played the wrong video today. I should have played the revenge arc video, but there was a time when somebody like fucked with me really hard on like a video game, and I waited a very long time before I got back at them. Like I pretended like nothing was happening for like a very long time. Like we're talking like almost a year. No, not that one. It was the one. So someone scammed me. Someone scammed me in a video game on an alt, and they were like a friend of a friend, and I basically waited. I waited for like, yeah, like half a year basically. I like baited them for half a year before I actually like before I actually engaged the final plan, you know. And yeah, it was because I didn't want to tip them off, right? So it's kind of like you know, like I just pretended like everything was okay, basically. I played dumb and I pretended like nothing was okay, and then like I got them, right? So it's what I mean. It's like what if like that's what's happening, right? Like the same thing with like, you know, this isn't just Dan Bongino. Like I'm talking like Trump and like everyone else that's trying to like go after you know, the fuckheads, right? Like it's possible that they're, it's the same thing with like the Charlie Kirk thing, right? Like it's possible that they know, but they're just waiting, right? Like to try to get as many people as possible. But I don't know the answer, right? It could be like you said, it could be that like, yeah, he's just selling out and he's like a part of like the deep state now or whatever the hell, right? Like they give him an offer, they gave him an offer he can't refuse. Possible. That's possible. I'm just saying I have a hard time seeing that as like someone who's watched Dan Bongino. Because put it this way, right? So this is the reason, like here's my rationale behind it for Dan Bongino, okay? Unless they threatened his family. I can see him doing it if they threatened his family, but for Dan Bongino specifically, he was making way more money because he had a show and he had like he had probably one of the most, if not the most popular conservative like talk show or like radio show. He didn't need money, basically. He had like just bought a new studio. So like his company bought like a new studio and like everything. They were about to move into, this is the context. They were about to move into a new studio, and he was like, yeah, he was like really excited to like move into the new studio, and like everything was like looking good. And like people were giving him money. He's like, oh, don't give me money. Like I'm getting plenty already. And like he was like, fine. And then he basically one day he comes on the show and he goes, Donald Trump asked me to work with him in the administration. And he basically, like, this was what he said. He said, if I don't say yes, everything I said previously was bullshit, basically. Because he said, listen, if I say no, because because my job is looking good and I have, you know, I'm making a lot of money off of the show. Like I'm fine. Like with the new studio. If I say no, then how can I stand here and tell everybody that they should do the right thing when I'm not even willing to like actually try to fix the government? That's what he said. So like he basically was like he would be a hypocrite to like tell everybody like, oh, you know, we need to like fix the government and we need to like do what we can to like fix everything, and then say no when he was asked to serve. Right? So that's why he did it, basically. And it was like, yeah, so that's what I mean.
Trust. Every day we continue to fight.
He didn't need the money, basically, right? So it's kind of like a Donald Trump situation where he didn't really need the money.
Trust back. Under my leadership, the FBI will confront these problems head on. Nowhere has this politicization of law enforcement been more blatant than during the Russiagate hoax, which James Comey was lying and leaking about. A disgraceful chapter in history, as we
who I think is definitely on the Epstein list. The Prince dude, the Prince dude for sure, man.
Continue to investigate our expose. Everyone, especially those in positions of powers, will be held accountable.
Bill Gates,
no matter
probably.
The purge. No one
I don't know,
is above the law, says Kash Patel. Trump says Comey's a bad person. He's a sick person. He did terrible things at the FBI. He is officially indicted. Disgraced former FBI Director James Comey has been indicted on 2 of 3 counts pursued by prosecutors making false statements in obstruction of justice shortly after President Trump publicly urged his Justice Department to act now.
Who thinks unclean puppy for the prime? Thank you. Thanks for all the
We'll
follows.
see if all the libs who tweeted nobody is above the law, if they still believe that. Still believe that? Lawyer up. Justice is coming. Nobody is above the law, says Mike Davis. Confirmed obstruction of justice and perjury charges for lying to Congress. Ladies and gentlemen, no one is above the law. That's amazing. I can't wait to use that over and over and over again. Well done, boys. James Comey indicted, perjury and obstruction, lying to the Senate. James Comey telling Congress in September 2020 that the Steele dossier wasn't used in the 2016 intelligence community assessment of the Russia hoax. Tulsi Gabbard release from July showing the Steele dossier was used.
Because I was gonna say, like, I'm gonna be real, like these charges are kind of weak, but I wonder if that's like all they could get him on. If like he was like the other ones, they're not sure if they can get him on it.
James Comey lied. James Comey has lied to Congress so many times, and James Comey is now officially indicted. Baby, this is going to be a wild one.
They're the real charges that will stick. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like they're like, this is the one that we can get him on, so that's what they went for. Because I feel like, yeah, I feel like all the Russia hoax shit was like even worse.
Here is the breaking news coverage on Fox.
Welcome back. Breaking right now. Tonight, a major update to a story we brought to you earlier in the hour. A grand jury has just...
Yeah, the Steele doc was the entire narrative against Trump is based on. Is that what they're going for? Is that the perjury charge?
Handed down an indictment for former FBI Director James Comey. The Justice Department accuses Comey of lying to Congress while under oath back in 2020. Let's bring in David Spunt with all the breaking details. David, what can you tell us?
Well, Jillian, we are waiting to get the actual details of the indictment. We're just told that an indictment has been handed up against the former FBI Director, James Comey. So I don't want to speculate on the actual charges yet until I see the paper in hand. That's the only responsible thing to do. But we know that James Comey, the former FBI Director, has been indicted. We're waiting to see if there's any sort of comment from the Justice Department. As of now, there is no comment from the Justice Department. But we have been reporting all week that a grand jury has been impaneled in the Eastern District of Virginia, specifically.
Echo Victor 6 says it was now or never. Statute of limitations for these charges expires at the end of the month. I see.
In Alexandria, Virginia, looking at 2020 testimony. James
Oblivion
Comey
NBC?
has
Wait,
been
what?
comment. If there's any sort of comment from the Justice Department, as of now, there is no comment
I have no idea. I didn't play
from the
Oblivion.
Justice Department. But we have been reporting all week that a grand jury has been impaneled in the Eastern District of Virginia, specifically in Alexandria, Virginia, looking at 2020 testimony. James Comey testified before.
Dude, every time I see this guy, like James Comey, he looks like a person that smells his own fart, doesn't he? Like, it's just...
For Congress remotely from his home.
This guy is like so fucking smug.
Virginia, because this was during the throes of COVID, before the Senate Judiciary Committee. And apparently there were parts of that testimony where federal prosecutors believe that he lied. We also know today that U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan, the newly installed U.S. Attorney, who's been on the job since Monday, imagine what a first week that is, Jillian, took this before the grand jury in Alexandria, Virginia, and successfully returned an indictment. So I'm going to wait until we have more on the indictment. We're looking at the paper. We'll come back. We'll we'll bring it back to you. But we can confirm that an indictment has been handed up against former FBI Director James Comey. No comment immediately from his attorney at this time.
And here is Fox News legal expert Jonathan Turley with an update.
A lot of people anticipated this coming in light of everything that the president has said and indicated lately, as well as the DOJ. We don't know the charges yet, but we know that there is an indictment.
You know what's crazy? I was watching a video about, like, you know how a lot of people, you know, the whole thing about like the election being stolen, and a lot of people saying that basically they did everything in their power to undermine Trump when he was president the first time. And then when he went for re-election, a lot of people are, you know, there's a lot of people on the right that claim that the election was stolen. Right. And the thing is, they don't have to literally, like, okay, in order to like steal the election, they don't have to literally add votes or take away votes or anything like that. But like, if you think about like what happened, literally everyone just constantly lied about Trump. Just lied about Trump. The media covered up like anything that had to do with Biden. Like, it was a completely unfair playing field. It was like unreal. Like, the rules were fucked because of COVID. And they intentionally like fucked up all of the rules to make it easier to cheat. And then they just had this insane media campaign of like untrue stuff about Trump. And then they had anything that was true about Biden that was against him, they covered up. It was like actually crazy. Right? So it's like even if like you could say that the, you know, and I'm not saying I believe this. I'm just saying that, like, even if you assumed that there was nothing wrong with the ballots, you could still make the argument that the entire like, all of the levers of power were all pointed against Trump, and they were all lifting up Biden. Right? So, like, it being, like, fair isn't really true. Like the people were not given the proper information by the media, because again, like, you know, I remember the Biden the Hunter laptop thing being completely like squelched by the government. Not the government, the media. Like, none of them like ever talked about the story. They did their best to like basically cover it up. Yeah, and again, like, you know, a lot of the rules were changed because of COVID. That was the excuse, rather, right? And I keep saying this over and over again. Like, I just think it's obvious that it's suspicious that if you actually cared about free elections, wouldn't you want them to be more secure? And it's just weird to me that the people saying like, no, the elections are totally fair and they're totally free, fair elections. Like, they're everything's good. And it's like, okay, can we increase the security? Nope. Like, it's weird. Because if you wanted to actually make sure that the elections were not rigged, the elections were actually handled properly, you would want them to be as secure as possible. And I would say the same thing if you had an election where Trump was winning and the Democrats were losing, like in the polls or I'd say the same thing. Like, we should make the elections more secure. Like, my opinion on that doesn't change depending on like who's trending. Does that make sense? But then like for some reason, like they're so obsessed with things being less fair. Right? The possibility of cheating, there'll be people on the conservative side saying like, we need to make sure that people aren't cheating in the election. We need to make sure that there's no voter fraud and that you know, everything is secure. And then the leftists are like, no, that's bad. It makes no fucking sense to me. Right? Because if you cared about people and what they believe, and you want people to believe that our elections are secure, then like, you don't want, because here's the thing, when people say, wow, election is like so fucking rigged, they get so mad. They get so mad when you say that. Well, if you don't want anyone to say that, then make it secure. Create a situation in which people have maximum faith. People have maximum levels of faith in the election system. Right? It's so stupid. Like, and all it does is it leads me to believe, again, if you want to go Occam's razor, what motive could they possibly have for making sure that the elections are not secured? Why else would you do it? Except to cheat. Right? And there was so many weird shit that happened during the election, like just them not letting people like observe, like all sorts of weird shit. Like, why would you care? Like, why would you care about people observing if you aren't trying to cheat? I don't understand, man. You might not want observers because they get it in mass and put extra votes. No. So there was a case where people were tallying the votes. People were tallying the votes, and there were windows. There were windows, and there were people outside, like observing, like outside, like as in like they couldn't get into the actual voting counting area, and then they covered up the windows. Yeah, it's just weird. Like, why would you do that? Right? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
What do you make of it?
Well, this has been an extraordinary few days. The president issued a social media posting in which he seemed to pressure indictments against individuals, including Comey. That was then withdrawn. We also heard reports that prosecutors opposed going to the grand jury, that they didn't feel that there was a case to be made here. And now, of course, we have what appears to be an indictment. It is a seismic event. I mean, you're talking about a former director of the FBI. And there have been long allegations that Comey was a leaker. If you recall, the Inspector General's report was scathing with regard to Comey's conduct.
Wait, the leaker was the actual director? Is what they're saying? The speculation? You could get someone else to do it.
Comey removed FBI documents, including classified information, when he was fired. And the Inspector General went after him, but it did not find that he specifically leaked that to the New York Times. But this could be a perjury case as opposed to a leak case.
And ladies and gentlemen, since we, didn't need an expert because we had one on this morning, might as well just throw to Mike Davis's commentary on James Comey, who predicted, once again, Mike Davis with a crystal ball predicting this was going to happen to James Comey, and talking about how James Comey needs to get measured for a 6'9" jump.
They always go to freaking racism too, like every time. You're like, hey, we need better secure elections. We should have like IDs so we can make sure that everybody, this is totally reasonable. It's a totally reasonable take. We need to have IDs for voting so that we can be sure that the person voting is a US citizen. And they're like, no, you can't do that because it's racist. And you're like, why is it racist? And they're like, because black people can't get IDs. It's like, what? What? What the fuck is that? Like,
suit, orange jumpsuit, because he's going to jail.
Dude, how racist are these people? They completely infantilize black people completely. Just, black people have no agency and they can't do anything for themselves, literally children. That's the way these people act. No accountability because they have no control over themselves. Like, these people are so racist. They're so racist and then they call you racist. It's actually crazy, dude. Like,
By the way, the penalties for this are 5 years potentially each. So James Comey, if found guilty on these counts, could face 10 years in prison. A lot of seashells and Taylor Swift in prison. Yeah, here's Mike Davis.
What about another seemingly mythical character, James Comey, at least in his own mind, who is very above the law, who is himself the law? And we've learned through multiple corroborated breaking news reports that James Comey will be potentially suffering from lying to Congress and breaking the law himself. What do you say, Mike?
Yeah, I think it was October 1st 2020, so just under 5 years ago, which is important, as we'll discuss, James Comey went before the Senate Judiciary Committee, and he was asked questions under oath by Senator Ted Cruz about Crossfire Hurricane, the Russian collusion hoax, and Comey's lies to Congress, where Comey said that he did not have discussions with the media. Well, his deputy, Andrew McCabe, said he did. So there's clear evidence that that Comey lied to the Senate Judiciary Committee under oath just under 5 years ago, which is perjury. It's also obstruction of a congressional investigation. It could also be conspiracy. And so James Comey, who pretends like he's this Boy Scout who wants to go after, he's this fake Republican Boy Scout who wants to team up with Obama and Biden and Hillary and Clapper and so many others and run the Jack Smith, Jay Bratton, run the Crossfire Hurricane bogus investigation and the cover-up to go after President Trump, to take him out and to help Hillary Clinton's campaign to cover up her corruption. It looks like James Comey is going to have his own perjury problems. Now, here's the issue. There's a 5-year statute of limitation on perjury and obstruction of a congressional investigation. So Lindsay in the Eastern District of Virginia, and I think James Comey testified from the Eastern District of Virginia. I think he testified via Zoom because this was during COVID and it wasn't in D.C., thankfully, because the D.C. grand jurors won't even, indict carjackers. But so the Eastern District of Virginia has a few more sane grand jurors out there. And I hope Lindsay, the new U.S. attorney, moves forward and indicts James Comey for perjury and obstruction of a congressional investigation. And I think she has to do it by September 30th. So we're getting close. I will say this, that for conspiracy,
it totally makes sense to me now that they're going after these specific charges, if these are the easy ones that they can get, because I feel like they might be like, it's better to get them for something than nothing at all. I assume they wanted more, but this happens a lot, like kind of in law, where they get somebody on something, but then they're not. It's like a percent chance if they get them on like the bigger charges. So they like would rather go for like a lesser charge that like they can more easily win.
See, the statute of limitations does not start until the conspiracy ends. So when you are covering up a conspiracy, you're continuing the conspiracy. So even if somehow they can't charge him with perjury or obstruction by September 30th, I have a different idea, or maybe an additional idea, that James Comey could be part of the conspiracy grand jury, maybe down in the Southern District of Florida, where they did the Mar-a-Lago raid. My new buddy, Jason Redding Quinones, is the U.S. attorney down there. I think he'd be a great guy to do this. He's a great patriot, calls balls and strikes. So James Comey is he's going to face justice one way or the other, whether it's with Lindsay in the Eastern District of Florida or Eastern District of Virginia or Jason down in the Southern District of Florida. This guy is a snake. And this is what's so important about this, Ben. Remember what they did. They politicized and weaponized intel agencies and law enforcement to try to take out a presidential candidate to help another presidential candidate.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like it was fucking ridiculous what this guy was doing.
And to cover up her corruption. And when that failed in 2016, they continued to go after the duly elected president of the United States and sabotage him. And then when he left office and took these Crossfire Hurricane records.
Did you remember like when Hillary had like those private servers and she fucking nuked them and they said, it's fine. Basically, wasn't that Comey? That was Comey, right? He was like, no, it's fine. We're not going to go after that. It's like, what? What the fuck, bro? Well, yeah, that was him, right? Yeah.
With them that he declassified.
I think it was him.
They ran unprecedented republic-ending lawfare.
And then when it was Trump, dude, they went after him with everything. So like they had Hillary, like for sure, basically on something. And then they decided not to go after it. And then for Trump, they went after literally everything they could have possibly went after for Trump.
Against the former president
Insane
of the
double
United
standard,
States, including the Mar-a-Lago raid, They tried to bankrupt him for non-fraud, as we talked about with Big Tish. They tried to throw him in prison.
This is why I really don't feel bad for them. Like, to be honest, like I do get it. I do get the sentiment of like we shouldn't be going after like political rivals, with all this like, we shouldn't be basically going after political rivals, right? Like in this way, but like they did it for so long, completely one-sided. It's I have no sympathy for them, basically. Like, honestly, good that these people are good. They're getting a taste of their own medicine, to be honest. Yeah, it's like, should we? I don't know, right? I guess it depends on like how bad the crime is, right? But like, it's like I said, they don't care. So why the hell should we care? Right? Why should I care about, like, why should I care about them going after like charges like this on they should, because he would do it. If it were flipped, he would do it. And he has done it. So there it is.
4 times.
I'm tired of this, like, oh, you know what? Let's go right back to like the normal, you know. And then what happens is when they get in power, they fuck around, and then when the Republicans get power, oh, you know what? We're gonna be better than that, and we're just gonna sit here and do nothing, and then maybe they'll learn that that's the way we should do it, and then it becomes their turn again, and they fuck around all the time. Like, this happens every fucking time.
For non-crimes, they tried to take him off the ballot unconstitutionally. They tried to take off his head twice when they underfunded the Secret Service protection, and Biden said to pull the bullseye on him after calling him the gravest threat to democracy. I have made this my mission over the last 3 years, and it will be my mission for the next 4 years. These lawfare Democrats are going to face justice, and I am doing everything in my power, very publicly, on your show for the last 3 years, telling everyone exactly what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it. I'm not trolling anyone. I'm going to put these lawfare. I'm going to help.
Dude, hearing like actual people like in government or involved in government things using the word trolling, like, unironically, is actually so crazy to me. Like, it's just so fucking weird. It's so weird.
Put
you
these
know,
lawfare
like,
Democrats in prison for their real crimes.
What?
it's like, so what? Like, dude, do you guys think so what? Like 20, 30 years from now, are people gonna be saying like skibbity? Oh yeah, are they gonna be saying skibbity riz like in the government? Like,
Would be your message to James Comey right now?
yeah, are they gonna say that? Yeah, I'm not trolling, I'm dead ass. Yeah, are they gonna say shit like that? Are they gonna be like, yeah, that so you guys finally indicted Comey? That's very poggers. Like what? Oh yeah, dude,
Presently, because we're seeing the leaks. I'm not exactly sure where they're coming from, but I love if they are coming from the DOJ. I love that it's MSNBC that's getting them, because they constantly platform James Comey.
Man. All right, I'll link you guys the Benny Johnson video on that. We're gonna indict him for real, no cap. Dude, that's gonna be so fucked up if it actually becomes like that. Man.